So I want to start by taking kind of a silly poll. I want you all to raise your hand if you've played today. Okay, a couple hands, maybe some confusion, that's okay. Now I want to try something else. I want you all to pretend that you're 6 years old and it's an average day in your life. I ask you again, as a room full of 6-year-olds, to raise your hand if you've played today. And that's just about everyone. Now, when you hear the word play, your mind may go in a number of different directions. Play is formally defined as an activity engaged in for enjoyment and recreation, especially by children. Susan Isaacs, an author, psychologist, and educationalist, defines play as children's behavior which is freely chosen, intrinsically motivated, and personally directed. Both of these definitions center children as the primary audience for which play applies. I want to challenge these definitions with one of my own that takes children out of the equation. Instead, play is any experience that combines imagination and tactile interaction to evoke joy. Decentering children from our definition of play is exactly what I want to talk to you about today, along with why and how we as adults can engage with play. My name is Ava, and I'm a Brown University alum who graduated in 2022 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and again in 2023 with a master's in design engineering. When I was getting my master's, I found myself gravitating towards projects centered around play, but I didn't notice it at the time. Projects of mine included an electronic board game that introduced children to the basics of coding, a feeding device for monkeys, and a desktop lamp and speaker that could only be used by arranging different minifigures around it. As I was nearing the end of my graduate education, I began to notice through lines across all of these projects. Even though they were all intended for different audiences and served different purposes, a couple things rang true for all of them. They all required imagination and tactile interaction, and they were all designed to evoke joy. This is what led me to really start questioning how we define play. Because if play was something only children did, then what exactly was I doing when engaging with all of these different projects? Since graduating college, I've been working at Hasbro as a board game designer on games like Monopoly and Clue. This has been an absolute dream role for me. As a child, playing family board games was one of the only times play was a full family experience. While my siblings and I were used to playing pretend and creating intricate worlds with Littlest Pet Shops, or working together to solve the next piece of the puzzle in We's Lego Batman, my parents almost exclusively engaged with play through family game nights. During these family game nights, the typical parent-child dynamic could fade away as we engaged in an activity that put us all on a level playing field. I remember growing up, Clue was a household favorite because it was a time where my dad was no longer the smartest person in the room, and I could come out on top with my unique note-taking strategy. When playing Monopoly, it didn't matter that my little brother was 7 years younger than me and used to me bossing him around, and he got to experience the joy of telling me to pay up when I landed on one of his properties. Being at Hasbro and having the opportunity to work on such iconic games has left me reflecting on how we continue to interact with these games as we get older. As an adult, I am still a huge gamer, and I have a group of friends I play board games with at least once a week. As a college student, though, it took a while to get other people on board, literally. I'm sure you have all been to a party where one person is insistent that everyone play a board game, and I have to be honest, I was that person. Within my friend group, there were times when it felt really hard to connect with everyone over shared interests, when our interests were kind of all over the place. This is where board games came into play for me. They were an activity we could all engage in together that wasn't dependent on having the same background, experiences, or professional knowledge. And who doesn't love a board game? I mean, we all have had such fun and formative memories of playing these games as children, so surely that fun should still be there, right? Even though this made perfect sense to me, there was and still is a large barrier in convincing people that we should play a game. The effort required to learn a game, think of a strategy, and physically play it, compared to the effort to just sit around and chat, can leave a lot of people with the question, why should I play? To answer this question, I want to talk about the importance of play. For children, play is an essential part of their development. As the US Department of Health and Human Services states, play benefits every single aspect of childhood development, including helping them to explore the world, their bodies, and their relationship with others. I know that for me as a child, engaging with aspects of play like sharing, taking turns, and working together was critical for my ability to form community and regulate my emotions. Dr. Stuart Brown, a psychiatrist and the founder of the National Institute for Play, has done a number of studies that indicate that the presence or absence of play, especially in childhood development, has a great deal to do with competency, resiliency, brain size, and emotional health. For all of these reasons, I believe that play is the most important part of childhood development. For adults, while it may seem less obvious, play provides the exact same benefits as it does for children. Renee Proyer, a psychologist who studies play as it pertains to adults, has found that playful adults are often more satisfied with their lives and better at forming deep relationships. He points to couples who are able to tease each other or joke in serious conversations as examples of how playfulness can improve our connection with others. Play also makes us more prone to learning new things by forcing us to use our brain in ways we normally wouldn't. Think about when you first learn a new board game. While the rules are all laid out and explained to you, the strategy isn't. And you need to take the same information everybody else has on how to play and use it to perform a unique winning strategy. Most importantly to me, play allows us to forget about the world and engage with an activity with the sole purpose of making us feel joy. As adults, there are always a million things running through our heads. Responsibilities, deadlines, the state of the world, what we're having for dinner. Because of this, I think it is so important to take any opportunity we can to experience joy. While it's easy for this to feel selfish or trivial, like why am I playing when there are so many other things to worry about, it's important to remember that play will have a positive impact on every aspect of your life, including your relationship with others, your mental state, and your ability to learn new things. Now that we've established why play is so important, I want to go back to the definition I shared earlier so that we can discover how to make play a more central part of our lives. My definition of play is an activity that combines imagination and tactile interaction to evoke joy. What I like about this definition is it provides very clear guidelines for what play is. And so in trying to figure out if what you're doing is play, you only have to answer 3 questions. Am I using my imagination? Am I engaging with tactility? And am I experiencing joy? If the answer to all 3 of these questions is yes, then congratulations, you are playing. And the good news is you're probably already doing it. Play can be present in our lives in so many small ways. And the first step to living a more playful lifestyle is readjusting our mindset to recognize more daily activities as play. Things like cooking, exercising, crafting, and shopping are all things that could be considered play as long as they provide yes answers to these 3 questions. Now, along this line of thinking, I want to share a massive way I brought play into my life in 2024. Back in August, I hosted a Survivor-themed vacation that completely revolved around playing a game. Now, for those of you who haven't seen Survivor, here's the gist. Over the course of 39 days, a group of contestants face off in a series of grueling physical challenges. But the heart of the game lies within the social strategy. Throughout the 39 days, all but 3 competitors are voted off by their peers, and those same peers who may have been blindsided or backstabbed are responsible for determining the winner. Now, while this is known as an incredibly ruthless and cutthroat game, I wanted to try to adapt it into a 4-day experience with 14 friends to create a vacation solely focused on play. This took a lot of time, effort, and planning on my end, and many of the people I invited were skeptical of the outcome. Though no one said it outright, many people later admitted they had expected the whole thing to be awkward, amateurish, and full of uncomfortable social interactions. Thankfully, these predictions could not have been more wrong. By the end of the first challenge, people were already discussing alliances, strategy, and who they thought might make it to the final 3. People seemed to feel more camaraderie with their tribe members than with friends they had known for years, and the words soul ties were used repeatedly to describe the new bonds being formed. I mean, imagine you're put into this situation, full of people you don't know, and asked to play a 4-day game. What would your strategy be? Would you be sneaky? Would you lie? Would you stick with the friends you came in with? Or would you branch out and form new connections? These were the questions running through all the players' heads, affecting not only how they interacted with the game, but how they interacted with each other. I use this example to demonstrate how impactful play can be on a large scale. Had I hosted a vacation with no play component, people likely would have stuck to their own friend groups, resulting in fewer new and meaningful relationships. This vacation had one goal in mind: fun. There was no lesson I was hoping to facilitate, no grand message I wanted to send, no ulterior motive to force all my friends to get along. It was an experience dedicated to play, for play's sake, that resulted in a once-in-a-lifetime vacation we will all remember forever. Now, I don't use the story of my Survivor vacation to encourage you to host your own. With the amount of work it took, I don't think I could, in good faith, suggest that. Instead, I use it to show you how it's possible to infuse play into your life in the smallest ways. Something as large-scale as a play-centered vacation isn't necessary. Let's look at a smaller example, like communicating with your roommates. Is there a more playful way to do this than just sending a text in the group chat? For my roommates and me, we communicate via a shared whiteboard in the dining room of our house. We can write polls, ask questions, or just draw little pictures throughout the day that encourage others to interact with it, making the experience of communicating a lot more playful. Now, I'm not saying that a whiteboard is the solution for everyone. We did not get our landlord's permission to drill 6 holes in the wall to hang this thing up. But what I am saying is that there are opportunities to infuse play into even the smallest aspects of your life. You just have to find them and figure out what works for you. With that, let's all go out and play. It is not something only children need to engage with. It is an essential part of the human experience that allows us to strengthen our relationships, learn new things, and live a more stress-free life. Play is all around us in ways we might not think about, and the first step to living a more playful lifestyle is readjusting our mindsets to recognize more daily activities as play. Use your imagination, engage with tactility, and experience joy. The more we can do these 3 things at once, the more playful and fulfilling a life we will lead. Thank you.